All right, everyone. So we're picking up where we left off from. We are on Exodus 11. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will strike Pharaoh in the land of Egypt with one more blow. After this, Pharaoh will tell you to leave the country. In fact, he will be so eager to get rid of you that he will force all of you to leave. Tell all the Israelite men and the women to ask their Egyptian neighbors for articles of silver and gold. Now the Lord had caused the Egyptians to look favorably on the people of Israel, and Moses was considered a very great man in the land of Egypt, respected by Pharaoh's officials and Egyptian people alike. Moses had announced to Pharaoh, "This is what the Lord has said: At midnight, I will pass through. I will pass through the heart of Egypt, and the firstborn will die in every family in Egypt, from the oldest son sitting on the throne to the youngest son of the lowest servant girl. Those who grind flour, the firstborn of the livestock will die. Then a loud wail will arise throughout the land of Egypt, a wail like no other has heard before or will ever hear again. But among the Israelites there will be so peaceful that not even a dog will bark. Then you will know that I am the Lord that makes the distinction between the Egyptians and the Israelites. All of the officials of Egypt will return to me and fall on the ground before me. Please leave, they will beg. Hurry and take all your followers with you. Only then will I go." Then, burning with anger, Moses left Pharaoh. Now, the Lord had told Moses earlier, "Pharaoh will not listen to you, but then I will do one more mighty miracle in the land of Egypt." Moses and Aaron performed these miracles in Pharaoh's presence, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he wouldn't let the Israelites leave from the country. And now we are going to Exodus 12. While the Israelites were still in the land of Egypt, the Lord gave the following instructions to Moses and Aaron. From now this month, the first month of the year for you, announce to the whole community of Israel that on the 10th that on the 10th day of each month, each family must choose a lamb of the young goat for a sacrifice. One animal for each household. If the family is too small, eat a whole animal and let them share it with other families and their neighbors. Divide the animals according to the size to each family and how much they would eat. The animal you selected must be a 1-year-old male, either a sheep or a goat with no defects. Take special care of the chosen animal until the evening of the 14th day of the first month. Then the whole assembly of the community of Israel must slaughter their lamb and their young goat at twilight. They are to take some of the blood and smear it on the side of the top of the doorpost, of the door frame of the house, wherever they eat the animal. That same night they must roast the meat over the fire and eat it along with bitter salad greens and bread made without yeast. Do not eat any of the meat raw or boil it in water. The whole animal, including the head, the legs, the internal organs, must be roasted over a fire. Do not leave any of it until the morning. Burn whatever is not eaten up before the morning. These are the instructions for eating this meal. Be fully dressed. Wear some sandals. Carry your walking stick in your hand. Eat the meal eagerly, for this is the Lord's Passover. On that night I will pass through the land of Egypt and strike down every firstborn son and every firstborn male and the animals in the land of Egypt. I will exclude judgment against all the gods of Egypt, for I am the Lord. But the blood of your doorpost will serve as a sign marking the house where you stay, and when I see the blood, I will pass it over. This plague of death will not touch you, even when it strikes the land of Egypt. This is the day to remember, each year from generation to generation. You must celebrate it with a special festival to the Lord. It is a law at all times. For 7 days, the bread you eat must be made without yeast. On the first day of the festival, remove every trace of yeast from your homes. Anyone who eats bread made with these during the 7 days of the festival will be cut off from the community of Israel. On the first day of the festival and the 7th day, the people must observe the official day of the Holy Assembly. No work of any kind may be done on these days except the preparation for the food. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread, for it will remind you that I have brought you forcefully out of the land of Egypt on this very day. This festival will be a permanent law of yours, this of celebration from generation to generation. The bread you eat must be made without yeast from the evening to the 14th day of the first month until the evening of the 12th day evening of the 21st day of the month. During those 7 days there must be no trace of yeast in your homes. Anyone who eats anything made with yeast during the week will be cut off from the community of Israel. These regulations apply to both the foreigners living amongst you and the native-born Israelites. During those days, you must not eat anything made with yeast. Whenever you leave, eat only the bread you made without yeast. Then Moses called out to the elders of Israel together and said to them, Go pick up the lamb and a young goat in each of your families and slaughter a Passover animal. Drain the blood into basins. Then take the bundle of hyssop branches and dip it into the blood. Branches of hyssop across the top sides of the door frames of the house of your houses, and no one may go through the door until the morning. For the Lord will pass through the land striking down the Egyptians. But when he sees the blood over the top side of your doorframe, the Lord will pass over the house, and he will not permit the death angel to enter the house and strike you down. Remember, these instructions are a permanent law that your descendants must observe forever. When you enter the land the Lord has gave you, I will continue to observe the ceremony. Then your children will ask, What does this ceremony mean? And you will reply, This is the Passover sacrifice to the Lord for the Passover of the houses of the Israelites in Egypt. And though it struck the Egyptians, he spared our families. And Moses had finished speaking. All the people bowed down on the ground and worshiped. So the people of Israel did just as the Lord had commanded through Moses and Aaron. And that night at midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, and the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne, and the firstborn of the prisoners in the dungeons. Even the firstborn of the livestock were killed. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the people in Egypt woke up during the night with a loud wailing was heard throughout the land of Egypt. There was not a single house where someone had not died. Pharaoh sent Moses and Aaron during the night. Get out, he ordered. Leave my people and take the rest of the Israelites with you. Go and worship the Lord your God as you requested. Take your flocks, take your herds, and be gone. Go. Bless me as you leave. All the Egyptians urged the people of Israel to get out as quickly as possible, for they thought they would die. The Israelites took their bread and dough before the yeast was added, and they wrapped their kneading boards and their cloaks and carried them on their shoulders. And the people of Israel did as Moses had instructed, and they asked the Egyptians for clothing of articles of silver. The Lord caused the Egyptians to look favorably on the Israelites and gave the Egyptians whatever they asked for. So they stripped Egypt of their wealth. That night, the people of Israel left Ramesses and started to Succoth. It says there were about 600,000 men plus all the women and children. A rebel of non-Israelites went with them, along with their great flocks and herds and livestock. For bread they had baked flat cakes and dough without yeast, and they had brought them from Egypt. It was made without yeast because the people were driven out of Egypt in such a hurry that they had no time to prepare the bread for food. The people of Israel had lived in Egypt for 430 years. In fact, the last day was the 430th year. All the Lord's forces left his hands on that night and kept his promise to bring the people out of the land of Egypt. So this night belonged to him, and it was commended every year by all the Israelites from generation to generation. And then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "These are the instructions for the festival of the Passover. No outsiders are allowed to eat the Passover meal, but any slaves that you have purchased and may eat if they have been circumcised. Temporary residents and hired servants may not eat it. Each Passover lamb must be eaten by none in the house. Do not carry it with meat outside. Do not break any of its bones." The whole community of Israel must celebrate this Passover festival. This is if there are foreigners living amongst you who want to celebrate the Lord's Passover, let their males be circumcised. Only then can they celebrate the Passover with you, along with any native-born Israelites. May no uncircumcised male ever eat the Passover meal. These instructions apply to everyone, whether they are native-born Israelites or foreignly living with you. So all the people of Israel followed the Lord's commandment, and Moses and Aaron, on that very day, the Lord brought the people out of Israel. The Lord brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt like an army. And we are going to stop there, and that is Exodus 12:51. All right, thanks.